And now the news in detail. The immediate past Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Chinedum Orji, has resigned his membership of the People's Democratic Party. In a letter of resignation addressed to the ward chairman of PDP, Orji thanked the party for providing the platform with which he emerged as Speaker of the House. Orji, who contested the Ikwano Umuahia Federal Constituency seat and lost in the last election, did not, however, state his next port of call. In the same vein, the Deputy Governor, candidate for the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 election in Abia State, Jasper Uche, has also resigned his membership of the party. This was made known in a letter written to the party chairman in the state. Deputy Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, says President Bola Tinubu is making efforts to clean up the age-long problem that has kept the nation economically stable. The Deputy Speaker stated this in his country home in Bende local government area of Abia State. News Central's Chinwe Ugele reports.
The Deputy Speaker, Ben Carlo, had several engagements during his visit, some political and others humanitarian. During his engagement with the online media practitioners in Umuahia, Deputy Speaker Ben Carlo appealed to Nigerians to tarry a little more as the president fixes the economy. He said the government's policies are tailored to correct the errors of the past.
So your subsidy is good, it makes life easy now, but for how long are we going to be in the year? Can we do it differently so that later on we can get it back? So many arguments around this. I urge you to see the good intention of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in trying to rebuild the nation.
At his country home last Sunday, he told journalists during an interview that the president, by his actions, has made all Progressives Congress attractive to the opposition in the zone.
This man has a good plan for the southeastern region. You understand? He is doing well, and that is what is attracting a lot of people. He has endeared himself, in the hearts of Abians. And Abians are beginning to feel this is where the hope that is renewed is. That is why they are leaving their various political parties, not only PDP, even Labour, but a lot more. In the entire southeast, they will embrace APC more. And I can assure Abians, APC will take Abia State in the next coming election.
Deputy Speaker Carlo, who marked his 53rd birthday in his country home in the company of pensioners, widows, blind and indigent, offered free Medicare to over 2,000 persons with eye problems.
I couldn't see with this one, but now I see everything even more brighter than this side.
Orola 10 years now. Anya bidole nyem so gba anya abụọ nwa betita emeela m nka ejila m ahụ ụzọ amaziela m ebe ndị odokoro la ebe nguzo ọtọ
ewesala we na ha hụ nwa penta si Chineke goziere m ben.
I'm interested in the color of humanity, which shows if you are up, extend your hand to lift those who are down.
There are insinuations that in the coming days, the All Progressives Congress will be receiving into its fold thousands of new entrants from the opposition. In Umuahia for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Thank you, Chinwe, for that report. Now, the men of the enforcement team of the Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources Monday raided two major illegal settlements in the Lagos Island axis of the state. Leading his team, the commander of KAI, retired Major Cole, reiterated the state government's zero tolerance on erecting settlements along waterways and setbacks. News Central's special correspondent on investigative journalism, Marshal Anthony Ononye, was there.
On Monday morning, the first port of call for men of the enforcement team of the State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources in its fight against indiscriminate occupation of the waterways, canals, underbridges and lagoons is the underbridge at Adeniji Adele, Lagos. So several businesses were going on here, including brothel. And in running the brothel, you have these used condoms being produced from a brothel that was being run here. Next stop was the canal along the Abuja-Elefen axis of the Lagos Island, Upon arrival, here we discovered a long chain of apartments numbering over 100 where people were living and cohabiting daily. The men from Kai moved into action immediately, having served a quick notice to the illegal settlers days before.
You have a whole lot of structure. The place is smelling and they are choked up. If there's any small fire incident, it's going to take so many lives. The place stinks. The number of accommodation we have here, if I'm not mistaken, it's more than 100.
Wait, your 4 children, where then they school? They school? Okay, now you wait. Mike,
nígbà tó lé wa ní Sakamori ńbẹ̀ yẹn ní Kama àti Pepe lọ fún wa ní bíbá yẹn pé tá a kọ́lé sí bíbá yẹn.
Kama àti Pepe.
Yes, Pepe, that is Shaman now. Local government, yes, that Pepe, Shaman. Okay. Ó fún wa bíbá ìgbà tó wá fún wa bíbá pé tá a máa manage. Ọkọ̀ dédé dé pé a máa sanwó kan, a máa ṣe kíní kan yẹn, that principal. But the principal náà máa sanwó adẹ̀ sanwó pé owó làbẹ́ máa sanwó gbà fún oṣù bíi ọdún bíi méjì.
With allegation that some residents were paying between 1,000 to 3,000 naira monthly to the principal of the school whose fence bordered the lagoon, I moved to find out from the principal.
I was present here 2021, January 21st, and I met all those structures there. So I know nothing about it.
So you didn't collect any amount?
At all.
Ironically, while the Ebuta Elefun was providing free education to thousands of students at the Ebuta Elefun Secondary School, some others whose parents reside at the makeshift apartments were assembling in this makeshift learning facility where the children pay between 5,000 to 10,000 naira for academic lessons.
Okay, this is nursery 2 and this is primary 4. So you have nursery 2 and primary 4 in one station. Okay, so classes go on simultaneously. That is, you take this class and this class at the same time. So you are the teacher for this class, which is primary 4. And you are the teacher for this class, which is nursery 2. Despite the disparity in their levels or classes, you'd find the teachers teaching a number of students combined in one station. That's the kind of structure or system you'd find in a place like Ebuta Elefun Canal makeshift apartments. These students are from this makeshift apartment. It's a sad day for them and their parents as their accommodations are being torn apart and taken down by the government.
We just got this apartment newly. The place we were before was a local government where they demolished the place. And if we are to look at it now, and they demolished this place now, the children will have to go back to streets. Let me give for instance now, there is an area there, and let me say area boys there. Because if you see some of the children, they'll be sending them weed, cigarettes, alcohol, which is not proper because they are still young. And their mentality is very wild.
The Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources has continued to warn illegal settlers along canals, drainages, underbridges and waterways to desist from erecting any form of properties on the setback or risk being demolished. Activities in the last few days have shown the ministry intends to make good their warning. For News Central, Marshal Anthony on air.
Thank you, Marshal, for that report. Now, moving ahead, over this past weekend, there was an outrage over the demolition of structures by the Lagos State government at the Arojobe and Mende estates in Maryland, Lagos State, Nigeria. Now, according to the state government, the exercise is meant to reclaim the right-of-way of the Odoya-Alaro Channel. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
I'm a supporter of this government. When they say I believe in raising this government, but this is not how you raise a government. This is this is the destruction of Lagos.
The Lagos State government has demolished parts of Arojobe and Mende Estate Villa, clearing the channel to ensure better flow and prevent flooding. According to the Ministry of Environment, it was noted during a visit that structures at Mende Villa Estate are obstructing the channel without observing the mandatory 15-meter setback.
It is so unfortunate that we have to do this, but they've been on this since 3 years ago, And the plea had always been, give us more time. So if you choose to give them even 3 months, they'll say ask for more time. And the rains are coming. So it's not just taking a decision on the spot. That's not the way we operate in the environment and water resources. It's a painstaking process, and we'll get to the root of it.
While the government alleges to have sent out notice of the demolition in 2021 and 2023 respectively, residents remain adamant about not getting any prior notice, especially as they have constantly been up to date with the payment of their land use charge.
We never got any notice. We have spoken to the developer. Developer said he never got any notice. Our houses were not marked. What is a notice? A notice is to tell someone that this is what I want to do with timelines. We didn't get anything. So if they have, they should show us. They should show us who signed it. Where is the copy? We don't have any of such.
As a responsible citizen, I pay my taxes. I mean, look at this estate. It has been here for how many years? We pay land use charge. The government knows about us. We've paid millions, and there's evidence. I might not be a lawyer, but there's a paper trail to show that applications have gone, permissions have been granted, and that is why I believe that this estate was not brought down as quickly as other places were. Weeks before this happened, other places were, maybe because they didn't have their documents. Ours was a special case because we did have documents, and the Honorable Commissioner came to engage us.
It's quite unfortunate how residents of the Mende Estate Villa 1 slept as landlords but woke up as tenants, and some homeless and squatting because of the demolition process that is going on here. Now, a lot of the residents have expressed their concerns ranging from security to health and even health issues. When you look at the fence by the canal that has been brought down, residents have said that scavengers come in from there and they no longer consider themselves safe. Even the unaffected residents have concerns as to how these scavengers would affect the estates. It remains to be seen how the government of Lagos State will handle the situation, as a lot of residents, if not all, still claim that the government gave no notice before this demolition took place. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Now, to discuss this further, I'm joined by a social commentator, Shola Omolayo. Hello, Shola. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning.
All right. So first of all, what are your thoughts on the demolition, ongoing at Mende, Maryland?
It's unfortunate that we are seeing one of the most painful execution of government policies. If you listen to what the commissioner said, you want to juggle who is right or who is wrong on this planet, on this platform. The commissioner made it clear that notice are given, but the people are saying no. But the crux of the matter is that why did you collect those fees on land use charges? And even if they don't have charges, why would you want to wake up one morning and see people going through what they are going through now? With the deficit of structure that we have in Lagos. Now, the numbers of people that are going to be victims here, how do you want to erase those memories? If you say they encroach, how long have they been putting those structures there before you wake up suddenly to feel that they have encroached? This is a bad one. You don't have a record. But let's see, now to burn, now they sweet them pass.
All right, Shola, now the Commissioner of Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, also mentioned that the structures were removed to prevent flooding on the mainland. What do you make of the statement?
Yeah, I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that fact. That's why at this junction, you find it very, very difficult to question the decision of the commissioner or the government itself on what they are doing based on abating dangerous effect in the future. what I'm saying here, if you are depriving people because of error, can't you just have a mercy face, a kind heart, in making a provision for them so that they will not just be on the street like that, so that they will not be frustrated, so that they will not be destroyed? You have broken the life of the people. Do you know what that's going to cost? I can assure you, some of these people will go down health-wise. Some of them may even just pass out because of this trauma that they have experienced these days. See, in developed countries that we have read about, if you have to relocate the people because they've done wrong, you can choose to organize a place for them that for ABCD reasons, though you've done wrong, but these are your citizens. They are your people, the children. They have young ones there that were not around, that might be coming home and come to see what happened to them. What are we planting in their heads? Skyscrapers houses abroad is being owned to people who are less privileged. Not what you have in Nigeria here. In Nigeria, you see one tall house. That is the house of a big man. But outside this country, it's not like that. Outside the places like Dubai. I'm not saying government should not do what they need to do. But for God's sake, can you just provide a succor? Even if it is a room and apartment, that will serve as a lesson. That, okay, we've been warning you guys, like the commissioner said, give some of us 3 months. You know, like Nigeria, we have a way of handling things. You will have a program, government will put down a policy, people will not rush at it. They will not rush at it, not until when it's getting out of time, then we begin to run Escalates.
All right, now talking about, the government doing what they need to do. Now, on one hand, we have the government saying that they'd served, notices quite a number of times. And then on the other hand, we have the residents saying that they only received the quit notice 2 hours before the demolition exercises started. Now, moving forward, how best do you think government should communicate, such notices, and what should be the disposition of residents upon receiving such notices?
See, if you are building a system, you should build it along the culture of the people. All this Oyinbo style that we used to carry even affect the government themselves. Thank God for Pashola, one of the past governors of Lagos State. When we are having a gridlock in Lagos State in the area of traffic, I'm talking of traffic on the road, Pashola created something that we now call one of the radio station, traffic radio, that manages the effect of road. And you can imagine if you are coming from K2 and you are going to, if you are leaving K2, you are going to you are going to Mile 2. Without Google, you can easily open the radio and you begin to listen to the pressure that is on the road. Also, you can have access to even call the radio station in alerting them on what you should do while driving. So if Lagos State on property management, on things like this, they can also use that radio or create a platform that you will have a list of what you have on ground, so that government will not just be blamed over anything. Because now would you take to the people will be looking, we the people will be showing leniency to those who properties have been demolished, and at the same time, a lot of people will be criticizing the government because you don't have the record to judge. Look at what that woman is saying. He say, what that guy is saying, say, if they have proof, they should present it. Meaning that they are asking questions unanswered. You don't know who is now to blame. But government could go a step further by creating a public avenue like the African way of doing things. In those days, when the king or the leaders in an environment want to do something, they come out with what we call the talking bell. They will smack the bell to alert the environment that this is what the king wants to do. This is what the people should do. That will be rain tomorrow based on ABCD reason.
Okay.
The African way, the Nigerian way, let's impute it in some of the things we do, so that people will not be blaming government all the time.
All right.
I think that is the best one.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Shola, for speaking to us and also your time. We appreciate you.
God bless Nigeria.
All right, with that, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, News Central Now continues. Stay with us. To security matters, Christian leaders in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, have raised an alarm over the plight of widows and orphans, many of whom lost their loved ones due to insecurity. Now, they are also calling on the state government to pay attention to the victims and render support to ease their hardship. Marvelous Obomanu reports.
Maiduguri, the capital city of Borno State in Nigeria's northeast, in recent years witnessed a significant rural-urban migration. This is unconnected with the traumatic years of insurgency that ravaged the region. Borno State Governor and his team are here to flag off the Maiduguri Ring Road project designed to alleviate traffic congestion, improve connectivity and spur economic development in the state capital.
The Maiduguri Ring Road is a brainchild of the current administration that covers Maiduguri with about 113 kilometers of roads and layouts that is supposed to enhance economic development, enhance security, solve the problem of housing deficit, and a host of others that would help the living condition of the populace of Boro State. Your Excellency, as you can see, this first phase is starting from this axis down to Tungushe axis, covering about 12.9 kilometers.
This urban renewal initiative is part of a broader strategy to also revitalize Borno State, which has faced significant challenges in recent years due to the activities of insurgents.
This is the first phase of the ring road, 16.5 kilometers. And inshallah, as our economic situation improves, we shall not hesitate to expand the scope of the work to cover the entire 100 kilometers of the ring road.
A check of an initial 1 billion naira has been handed over to ensure that the livelihood of the farmers affected by the project are protected and their rights are fully respected.
We will invite investors to come and build houses, while state government will also get a fair share from the houses that they will build. Then they will sell to the communities. By doing so, very soon, we shall cover the entire area.
A thriving, secured and commercial hub anchored on dignified people is part of the larger vision of the sustainable urban renewal efforts of the Zulum-led administration. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
All right, so that was the story of Borno State Governor flagging off the 113-kilometer Maiduguri Ring Road, part of Nigeria's urban renewal strategy. Now, away from that, the governor of Delta State, South Nigeria, Sheriff Oborewari, has reawakened Servicom initiative in the state civil service to ensure optimum service delivery of the state workforce across ministries, departments, agencies, and local government councils in the state. Executive Assistant of the Governor on Media or Public Enlightenment, that's Projects and Policies, Olisa Ifejika, disclosed this at a news conference in Asaba on Monday. While urging the public servants in the state to brace up to the new normal, he said Servicom had been around for over the years but had failed to make the necessary impact in ensuring quality service delivery. The former chief press secretary to the former governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, said that workers in the state had been adequately motivated to ensure that they provide optimum service while discharging their responsibilities. The Nigerian Red Cross Society has called for more disaster management volunteers to help the nation build adequate resilience against conflicts, disasters and crises when they occur. The national president of the Red Cross made this call in Nigeria's Abuja following a road sensitization rally on diphtheria and some other public health challenges. Idong Joseph reports.
The roadshow and awareness rally had started from the Wuse Market area of the Federal Capital Territory to the headquarters of the Nigerian Red Cross as part of activities to celebrate the 161-year existence of the Red Cross. Participants at the rally walked past major streets of the city center, sensitizing residents on effective ways of preventing diphtheria, and also raised concerns over a shortage of volunteers to assist during disasters and conflict situations.
The rate of disaster is on the high side. Climate change is making things worse, and vulnerability is increasing on a daily basis. And like we said, it's boundless. It can be anywhere. Accidents, natural disaster, pandemics, they occur everywhere. We need volunteers.
We have diphtheria, as we have mentioned. We have the Lassa fever right now. We have meningitis, which is ravaging our communities. We have the hunger crisis. We have conflict in the northeast. All these things can be dealt with.
The national president of the association emphasized the need for quick response to mitigate the effects of disasters on communities and called for more Nigerians to be skilled in disaster management.
We need volunteers, and the volunteers need to have been trained long before those disasters. And since they can occur anywhere, we should have volunteers that can work for humanity everywhere also, in order to correspond with the demand.
Let's have the government, let's have other stakeholders keying in on the work that we do. We are the last mile. We are the first responders, and we are the last mile.
So I encourage us today to continue the hard work, to continue to do the little efforts that we are doing in our community. Collectively, is a great impact.
Disasters, conflicts, and crises cause suffering for people, irrespective of their race, ethnicity, or religion. And for that reason, the Nigerian Red Cross is advocating for more humanitarian volunteers, believing that it will help mitigate the effect of disasters and conflicts on citizens. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
The Daily Independent, Nigeria's most read newspaper among the political and business elite, has held its annual award ceremony in the year 2023. Now tagged Celebrating Excellence, the award ceremony was a gathering of top politicians, captains of industry and notable individuals who had done exceptionally well in their fields and were found worthy of being celebrated. The next report was compiled by correspondent Bernard Akede, who attended the award ceremony.
A choice than to build a nation, and that's why we do this, to encourage people.
It was an evening that brought together men and women who have done well in their various industries and representatives of companies that proved to be exceptional in their industries in the year 2023. This award ceremony was the Daily Independent's way of honoring these individuals and organizations for doing a good job.
This year, the theme is recognizing excellence. We look at the various fields and look at who has done so much in this field, and we try to look like the health sector fits in an indigenous pharmaceutical company. We have other ones that are living, but they are here, and so we have to recognize them. Then some governors look at the particular areas. Nobody is perfect anyway, so we look at the area, the strength of a particular governor, and we name them Governor of the Year, maybe health, Governor of the Year, security, and so forth.
Awards were given in industries like banking, tech, security, oil and gas, real estate, pharmaceutical, amongst others. Some of the awardees spoke about why they felt they deserved the awards.
As an indigenous company, it has set itself aside and set it higher than any other pharmaceutical company in Nigeria, doing what they do with the myriad of products that we have to offer, over 350 products as we speak.
On behalf of the independent newspapers.
In politics, several governors were awarded for the remarkable work done in their states in fields like tech innovation, community empowerment, health, education and youth empowerment, amongst others.
When people identify in your quiet corner what you are doing for the development of this nation and says it's good to honor you, that's the best thing that happens to any man's life. And so I'm happy, I'm excited, and this will spur me to do more.
Taraba State and the people of Taraba are seeing it differently now.
with every policy taken into consideration by young people with young minds. We are there to perform, and the result is glaring.
I consider this award very, very pertinent because the governor in the last 11 months has put in his best to ensure that Plateau State is transformed. If you go to Plateau State today, you will realize that a lot of things have changed. Before now, when you hear about Plateau State, you get to realize that people are being killed in one way or the other. But the governor has come with a mission to unite the people of Plateau State, to bring peace and prosperity, and that is what is visible on the plateau today.
And before the night was over, PDP chieftain, Chief Olabode George, who received a Lifetime Achievement Award, seized the opportunity to speak on the current insecurity challenges bedeviling the country.
The number one job for any government anywhere in the world is the security of lives and properties of the people. The need to establish state police can be at another time, but now, all those guys talking about you don't need it is a load of trash. We need them now because the people who will be employed to do the state police will be the people who live there, who understand the language, who understand the culture, the do's and don'ts of the people.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The award organizers believe this ceremony would encourage the awardees and all others in position of service to do more for the people so as to build a greater Nigeria. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
You're still watching News Central now. Coming up, groups hold ceremony in tribute to victims of bombing raid in DR Congo. We'll bring you details after the break. Thank you for staying with us. The city of Johannesburg and other entities have been found liable for the tragedy that claimed the lives of 76 people and left others homeless a year ago when a building caught fire in Johannesburg CBD. Now, the Usindiso Commission handed over a 164-page report to the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi on Monday. According to the commission, the building was never for residential use, something that Johannesburg City had been fully aware of since 2019 but did not act on it. The COJ has been urged to demolish the building, and the report did, however, not recommend compensation to the victims and survivors, an issue that the Marshal Town Fire Justice Campaign says is unfair on the victims of the fire. Now, joining me on the news to discuss this is an activist, Mamedwe Sebe. Hello, Mamedwe. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure. Now, the first part of the report, on the Usindiso fire that, claimed the lives of 77 people has been released. What are your thoughts on the outcome?
I mean, we welcome the report because the report does vindicate the position that we had from the beginning. The report says the city of Johannesburg and not the residents of that building are actually responsible for the tragedy, both in terms of the circumstances that led to the fire, but also in terms of lack of emergency responses that aggravated and exacerbated the fire into a tragedy that cost so many lives. 77 people lost their lives, many were injured, many lost their property, and all that the city did in the past months was to scapegoat, was to be bashing the victims, playing a xenophobic card instead of taking and accepting responsibility.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the issue of compensation and, proper housing for the victims. Do you think that the Commission's ruling is fair in this case?
No, there are a number of areas in respect of which we agree with the report and where we think the report fell short. One is that we do agree that there must be liability, there must be accountability, there must be disciplinary action against certain officials and departments within the city of Johannesburg. But it doesn't go enough. We want criminal liability and criminal prosecution because what we had was actually a criminal abdication of responsibility and negligence. Secondly, we want compensation, full and adequate compensation, because people who died in that fire were breadwinners. People who were injured were earning a living, and without a full functioning lid, or with the injuries, some of them are able to do that. But also, people lost their assets, particularly the informal traders. And if these people are to rebuild their lives, they need that compensation. They need support, which at the moment they are not getting from the city.
Now, just a follow-up, on your demands. The building, is one of many buildings in Johannesburg's central business district, which is not fit for residential purpose. Now, what do you think needs to be done to avoid, the same kind of tragedy in the future?
Well, we are demanding that, government must implement an emergency public housing program to refurbish this and 224 other buildings that are deliberated, that are in conditions of degradation, and our people are living in squalor, in conditions that are not compatible with the right to dignity. We want these buildings to be rehabilitated, because if they are, they can provide a decent housing and accommodation for the most disparate, poorest sections of the working class in the inner city of Johannesburg. But more than that, we want a public housing program for the entire city, for the entire country. At the present moment, you have a situation wherein there is a housing backlog of 500,000 housing units in the inner city, in the city of Johannesburg. And the city is building houses at the rate of 2,500 a year. That means it will take us 200 years just to overcome the current backlog. 13% of the people in this country are living in informal shelters, informal settlements, in conditions of degradation, in conditions of squalor, in conditions not acceptable for any person who we say has a right to dignity. So therefore, we say there is a need for a mass public housing program to ensure that we address the growing housing backlog. Because when the ANC took over in 1994, the housing backlog stood at 1.5 million housing units across the country. Not only have they not resolved that, in fact, it has aggravated. The housing backlog today stands at 3.7 million people. And we need 3.7 million housing units. We need to address that through a mass public housing program that can provide people decent public housing, at the same time as creating the jobs that we desperately need to overcome the mass chronic and devastating levels of unemployment and poverty in this country.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amedwe Sebe, for speaking to us on this. And we do hope that the government listens to your demands and does what is necessary. We appreciate you for your time.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Now we move to East Africa, where the death toll from weeks of relentless rains and floods in Kenya has climbed to 228 as authorities warn of continued crisis conditions. Despite escaping major damage from a tropical cyclone that weakened after hitting land, Kenya and neighboring Tanzania are still grappling with torrential downpours and the looming threat of further floods and landslides. In western Kenya, the river Nyando overflowed early Sunday, overwhelming a police station, school, hospital, and markets in Ahero, Kisumu County. Now, while there are no immediate reports of casualties, local police caution that water levels are still rising, with the main bridge outside Kisumu along the Nairobi highway submerged. The region has been besieged by weeks of heavier than usual seasonal rains, worsened by the El Nino weather pattern, wreaking havoc across East Africa. Members of several citizens' movements have denounced the upsurge in violence in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and this was made known at a ceremony to commemorate the victims of a bombing raid on a camp for displaced persons on the outskirts of Goma. They're calling for justice for the 9 people killed last week in the bombing, as fighting intensified in recent days between the army and M23 rebels in North Kivu. The Israel Defense Forces says that it has operational control of the Gaza side of the Rafah crossing. The announcement follows what the Israel Defense Forces said were targeted strikes against Hamas in eastern Rafah. Now, talks are to resume in Cairo after Hamas said it would accept a deal drawn up by Egyptian mediators. It was, however, rejected by Israel as far from meeting its core demands. It is not clear exactly what Hamas has agreed to, but the proposal is thought to include the release of hostages and the return of displaced Palestinians within Gaza. Now joining me to discuss this is Global Affairs Analyst Colin. Hello, Colin. Thank you so much for joining me at this time.
My pleasure to be with you, Dashin. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, what's the implication of the Israel Defense Forces claiming operational control in Gaza? That's operational control of Gaza's side of the Rafah crossing.
Generally, Dashan, the consequence is that the mayhem, the suffering of Palestinians simply continue more or less unabated. Now, on the other side, of course, you also need to see things from the Israeli perspective, because essentially what they are doing here is finding whatever means possible to exercise as much pressure on Hamas as possible to be able to obtain what they want. And so you ask yourself, what exactly do they want? In the immediate, what they want is the release of, Israeli hostages held by Hamas. On the other hand, Hamas itself is saying that quite a number of, in fact, hundreds of Palestinians, are held prisoners by Israel, and they need them, released. So you see, the propaganda, which of course we will admit is part of warfare, is so very much that, at the end of the day, you ask yourself, who is actually telling the truth? How are we going to sieve the misinformation, the disinformation from the actual fact? But one fact that is clear to everyone that can see is the fact that, the mayhem continues, the killing of Palestinians, continues, and until both sides are ready to go the extra miles, I believe that, the mayhem will simply continue.
So, Collins, you're saying that the likelihood of the talks, in Cairo, leading to the resolution or to a resolution between, Israel and Hamas is negative. It's not going to happen at all.
Well, from what we can see now, it doesn't look likely. But of course, never say never. And the reason, people have to, hold up the hope that there might still be, light at the end of the tunnel is that while Israel has said that Hamas is singing hallelujah over an agreement that was amended by them alone and has not been accepted by Israel. And so that doesn't sit well with them. So as they condemn that and say, over our dead body, they are equally sending negotiators, mediators to the, the further negotiation. So that means that somehow they are leaving the, the door at ajar, not necessarily closed entirely. So with that in mind, it might very well be that, they are going to come closer to, each other, and that a deal might be struck in the coming weeks.
All right, well, no doubt, all this going on adds to the diplomatic pressure, especially when it comes to, the already diminished aid supplies on civilians and how the likelihood of them getting more aid. But it's so sad that this is where we'd have to wrap up, Collins. But thank you so much for speaking to us on this. And we hope to speak to you on this some other time.
My pleasure always. Thank you for having me.
And that's it at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that more worries for Nigeria's main opposition PDP as two chieftains dump party in Abia State. We also told you that rescue operations continue in South Africa, building collapse with 4 deaths already confirmed. Finally, you heard that the death toll from Kenya floods rises to 228. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Abo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.